Welcome back to the Jag Bros podcast, or welcome for the first time to the Jag Bros podcast. We are diehard Jaguars fans. We ride the highs and the lows, and we have 2 games remaining in the season for our beloved Jacksonville Jaguars. We are 3 brothers. I'm Jack, along with in person with me, JT and Joey, soon to all be in the Jacksonville area. And we're getting fired up for this big game against the Carolina Panthers.
Man, it's so great sitting here next to you, Jack, here in St. Augustine, Florida, just a few miles down the road from the Jaguars stadium, waiting for you, Joey. You got a couple more hours to get over here.
Yes, I'll be there soon. I board my flight tonight. I'll be there, and we may even be at the game this Sunday.
For sure. It's been awesome to see way more Jaguars fans than for you and me, Joey, living in Dallas. We don't get to see too many, but when you do, it's always a fun bond seeing Jaguars fans all over. But we're going to break down this game as usual. We're going to look at offense, defense. We're going to look at some keys to victory for the Jaguars, followed by our all-important predictions for the score. But we're going to kick it off. We've done this the last couple weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. So, JT, kick us off with your confidence meter 1 to 10 for this game.
-5. I mean, I don't know how anybody could have any level of confidence with the way we played the last 3 or 4 weeks. The only possible reason why you could think we have any level of confidence is just because you feel like we've already hit rock bottom. But as I said last week, I don't think rock bottom comes until we lose at home to the Panthers on Sunday.
I believe I'm at a confidence level of about 6.5.
6.5? Are you crazy? Based on what?
Well, based on this is the Panthers, and they've won 2 games, and I understand that they've played better, but I mean, it's still the Panthers. And if you really look back on the last 4 games, yes, all 4 losses hurt really bad, but we're 1 field goal away from beating the Bengals. We were about 2 to 3 defensive plays away from beating the Browns. So, still good performances, all performances that would beat the Panthers. And then against the Ravens, defense played really well. Offense didn't, but we were still in it at the 3rd quarter. It was 10-7. And then last game, I don't even know what that was. That I hopefully is rock bottom. No one came to play. Nothing happened. I'm going to try to wipe the Tampa Bay game from my memory and give them a 6.5 confidence to go out and beat the Panthers.
Hey, the Panthers have actually done something that Jacksonville couldn't do in December so far, and that's actually win a game. So I still can't believe that you have 6.5 confidence. Jack, speak some confidence into him right now.
Well, I'm going to split the difference. My confidence meter is a 5. My confidence in the Jaguars is very low. My confidence in the Panthers is very low. This is a game potentially of a battle of who wants to lose this game more. And as I said on the previous episode, you would hope, the Panthers would want to lose this game because they have potentially the number 1 pick, but that's been traded away to the Bears. So the only good thing is we also have the Chicago Bears cheering for us. The Panthers have yet to win on the road, so let's keep that streak going. And their biggest victory is by 2 points. So surely we can bounce back from this game.
The Panthers also aren't just going to roll over, I don't think, for this game. There are a lot of ex-Jaguars on this team. This is like old Jaguars going up against new Jaguars. And who's going to come out on top? You got DJ Chark on the other side, CJ Henderson, Chenault, but he's injured, but he's still on the team. There are a ton of ex-Jaguars on this Panthers team, very much similar to a 2019 team, 2018. So we should beat this team. This is the new Jaguars. There's no reason we should go out and lose to the old Jaguars.
Hey, it's time to meet the new Jaguars. They're the exact same as the old Jaguars. I'm not entirely sure if Elijah Cook and Calvin Ridley and some of the guys we have on the current team are that much better than the guys we had back then, and we just lose every game.
Well, their talent level is definitely way higher than the old nobodies that we had at wide receiver.
Yeah, Elijah Cooks 4 catches the entire season. Yeah, I mean,
oh, he had 5 targets. He's only dropped 1 ball. You act like he's been on the field the entire game. He's only been on the field for 1-ish games. So yeah, 4 catches, not bad.
JT's joining me with the Jaguars have hit rock bottom, I think. But either way, my biggest advice to the Jaguars right now, whether you're rock bottom or one step above rock bottom, you've got to get back to the basics. And as we break down this game, Vince Lombardi famously told his team every year, the first practice, he would hold out the football and say, "This is a football." Well, I think Doug Peterson needs to do that. Say, "Hey guys, this is a football. This is how you throw it. This is how you catch it. This is how you tackle," because we got to get back to the basics. And so as we break down our offense against this defense, so the Panthers are currently ranked 30th in points allowed with 25.4 points, but a lot of their other stats are actually a little bit better defensively. So they're middle of the road in a lot of the categories. So what do you guys look for the Jaguars to turn this offensive train wreck around against Carolina in Jacksonville on Sunday?
it's easy. The only thing that matters is turnovers. If you don't turn over the ball like it's going out of style, then I think you have a very good chance of having success. Fortunately, the only stat that Carolina Panthers is worse in is forcing turnovers. They rank dead last in the NFL right now, forcing turnovers. They've only forced 11 turnovers all season. Compare that to Jacksonville, who's actually second in forcing turnovers at 25. So we're almost more than doubling what they've done defensively. And so, yeah, it's hold on to that ball, Trevor. It's throw the ball to the right jersey, Trevor. And it's guys, when we make a catch, Evan Ingram, Calvin Ridley, everybody else who loves to cough up the ball, Tank Bigsby, let's make sure we hold on to that ball.
You're right. It's turnovers, but it's got to be the run game. These last 4 games have been the most miserable run game I have ever seen the Jags put out. Even our bad teams had better run game than we do right now. I don't care what they have to do. They have to get this run game going. Travis Etienne was a focal point during the 5 wins that we were having. He needs to get back in the game somehow. I don't care if it's Wildcat. I don't care if it's running from shotgun, under center. Figure it out. You're the coach. Show us that we're wrong, Press Taylor. Show us that we're wrong, Doug Peterson. Figure out a way to get this miserable offensive line to get us somewhat of a run attack. I'm not asking for 150 yards rushing. I don't think that's ever possible with this team. But get to 65, 70, 80 would be really nice. But get some rushing yards and get it early.
Yeah, Joey, speaking of our terrible offensive line, the sliver of hope is that Cam Robinson has been trending in the right direction all week. Doug Peterson said today on Thursday that he's very hopeful that Cam will be back out there, who is, of course, been our best offensive lineman all year. So getting Cam out there, hopefully we'll get Trevor some more time. We are assuming Trevor will play, but there are some questions about that as well with another injury for the year. I know you, Joey, said you'd actually like to see Trevor rest this game. It's still too early to tell what the coaches will call. But yeah, my point is going to be offense, defense, keys is just get back to the basics. Play more conservative, hold on to the football, find a way to run, find a way to score field goals when you are in field goal opportunities. And typically the Jaguars are hyper aggressive, but for this game, I think it's time to be more conservative, get back to the basics, limit mistakes, get Ridley going early, get Ingram going early. Both of them were almost completely silent in the first half of the Bucs game. So I want to see them get some targets, get some catches early in this game. And hey, let's just score some points on offense in the first half, because we haven't done that in 2 games in a row.
The ability to run the ball will be there against the Panthers. They are statistically middling against most teams running the ball. They just came off of a 127-yard performance by Aaron Jones coming off of an injury with the Packers, and the Packers have really struggled to run the ball all season. So, hey, this, again, unfortunately, should be a time for us to succeed on the ground. Through the air, Carolina actually has been top 5, top 7, at least from yards in most categories wise, but that's a little bit misleading because I think it's been a situation where a lot of teams haven't needed to pass because they're almost always in the lead in the lead big against Carolina.
Yeah, and when you talk about not having to go in the air, this is a chance for this offensive line to take a step forward. They're going up against a not good pass rush team. They only have 21 sacks. That's 32nd in the league. That's the worst in the NFL with only 21 sacks. If you can't keep these guys from getting to Trevor Lawrence, then that just shows you that you are the worst offensive line in this entire league. If you let the 32nd ranked defensive line for sacks get to Trevor, then you all need to just quit football and walk off the field right then and there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Because they're so bad at creating pressure, that has been one of the biggest differences between when Trevor has succeeded and when he's not this year. If you look at when he has time in some of the advanced analytics, he's top 7 in most categories when he's had time. When he's under pressure, he's been dreadful. He's been bottom 10 quarterbacks in the league under pressure, and we've seen that a lot against teams that create a lot of pressure. The Bucks, the Browns, the Ravens, all 3 of these teams create a lot of pressure, and it just so happens to coincide with 3 of his worst performances as a Jaguar.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is still tied for first in terms of big time throws, which feels crazy, but you can see he's got the talent when he has time. And if he gets time on Sunday, which hopefully with Cam Robinson back, with a very weak Panthers defensive line going up against Brian Burns, who Florida State fans will know, and Frankie Louv, that's their only pass rush. And those guys have less than half the sacks of our 2 guys, Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. So in theory, this should be a massive game for Trevor.
If our offense can't move the ball against this Panthers defense, it's going to kill this. If this offense can't move the ball against this Panthers defense, it will destroy the spirit of this Jags team. They have one player that is a name, and that's Brian Burns, and he only has 6 sacks this season. He's not playing that well, so all you have to do is stop him, and you can move the ball. They're not going to get that much pressure. You can run against this team. So go get some confidence, Jaguars, and that offense. Find a way to just slowly put it together. You don't have to go out right away and put it together. Instead of trying to push so much, let the game come to you and take what is given to you, because this Panthers team will make multiple mistakes. You need to thrive on taking advantage of those mistakes. Instead of enforcing your will, just take what is given and you'll win this game. So let's get now to this Panthers offense. There is a not so great offensive line on them as well. And Bryce Young, the new rookie quarterback, has actually been sacked the most in the NFL. So this is a good chance for our defense as well. How do y'all feel about our defense going up against this offense?
Here's the only scary part about this team is that Carolina is trending at the right direction. Bryce Young just threw for over 300 yards, had a very nice day against Green Bay last week. He had probably his best performance as a rookie, and he has been playing better. But you're exactly right, Joey. This Panthers offense is maybe even less inspiring than their defense in many ways. Their running back is shared between Miles Sanders, who's had injuries and just looked a shell of his former self, has barely been able to get over 20 yards in most of the games he's played in this year. And Chuba Hubbard, who's been a nice running back, but nothing that should scare you. He should not be able to get more than 50 yards on the ground against us either. So it's really going to be on Bryce Young, a rookie, making a road start here later in the year. And the receivers he's going to be throwing to is an older Adam Thielen coming over from Minnesota last year. And then Mingo, who's a rookie wide receiver out of Ole Miss, who doesn't scare you either. So you're in a situation where on paper, this should be the get right game. This should be the game that college football's team scheduled that week before they play their rival to help get them right. But at the end of the day, it's still the NFL, and the Panthers just beat the Falcons a couple weeks ago and took several other teams down to the wire.
Yeah, I find it just a tad bit funny that you say they're trending in the right direction. Other than the Packers game, the last 2 games, they scored 9 points and they scored 6 points.
They did win with the 9 points though. So, you're trending in the right direction when you're a 2-13 team and you have not won yet on the road. It's better than what you've been doing. So,
yeah, I mean, 4 of the last 5 games have been within 1 possession. That 6 points in New Orleans still shows you the level of talent that they have. But I mean, they played Tennessee within a possession, the Buccaneers within a possession, who just ran us out of the stadium last week. They beat the Falcons, and then they had the Packers beat until late.
Yeah, that said, this team should not scare you, but we have struggled against some quarterbacks that have not performed well all year. We've had some quarterbacks come in and have career games. A almost 40-year-old Joe Flacco looked like he was playing 10 years ago. We've had Jake Browning, who's had no NFL success, torch us and tear us apart on Monday Night Football. And so I have not been a big fan of Bryce Young, and I think everyone would have much rather have, of course, CJ Stroud, who's looking all pro right now and could potentially come back as soon as this week. I think everyone would take CJ Stroud at this point over Bryce Young, but you just never know until you watch them play. But yeah, in terms of offense and defense scoring, the offense for the Panthers struggled to score. They're 29th in points, 30th in points allowed. So they're on average losing games by 10 points, but they have been playing some close games and we've been really struggling. So it's on the coaching. Again, I'm going to keep banging this drum. It's time to get back to the basics. We've been struggling in terms of tackling. We had 14 or 15 missed tackles in that Bucs game. We've been struggling on tackling in this entire 4-game losing streak. And so this is where our defense needs to be strong. We have a strong pass rush, but we miss the quarterback a lot. There's no reason you should miss little Bryce Young on a sack. You should hit him and hit him hard. Let's get 3, 4, 5 sacks in this game.
Yes, I'm so tired of the quarterback shrugging off our defensive line like they're little kids. Bryce Young is so tiny that your hand should be able to grab him and just pull him down. I don't care. He should not be able to get away from you when you are going to sack him. So defensive line, make sure you bring him down. I am so tired of watching people just shrug out of our sacks.
Yeah, we had 15 missed tackles last week against Tampa, so cleaning that up will be huge, whether that's tackling the quarterback, tackling running backs, or bringing guys down and not getting a whole lot of yards after a catch, which I think brings us as a nice transition into our keys to the game. So looking at the offense, the defense, maybe if you want to sprinkle in a special teams prediction in there, you can too. Unfortunately, our prediction of Brandon McManus being cut before this game has not happened. So fingers crossed that he doesn't miss one when it's important. But Jack, take us to your key to the game. What do you see us doing?
Man, there's so many keys we could go with offensively, and I'm sure y'all will take several of these on turnovers or getting the run game going. But to me, overall, it's all about getting on the scoreboard early. Joey, you've been hammering this, and it's been so true. The Jaguars are 8-0 when they're leading at half. They're 0-7 when they're losing at half. So the key is going to be you've got to put points on the board early. I'm going to say that the Jaguars offense needs to score at least 13 points in the first half and get the ball rolling, get some points on the board. And then defensively, you've just got to contain Bryce Young. You can't let Bryce Young go and have the game of his career. So if you can keep Bryce Young under 325 yards, I was going to say under 300, but I think even under 325, we still win this game.
325. Good Lord, Jack.
Hey, we barely kept anyone under 300 unless we're getting blown out.
That's a good point.
My first key doesn't even have to do with football. I'm going to say it has to be their effort and heart when they come out of the locker room. What team is going to show up? Is it going to be the same team that showed up in Tampa that just didn't want to play, that was constantly on their heels and just looked like the worst team in the NFL? Or is it going to be a team that knows that if they win out, then they go to the playoffs, that's going to give it 110%? They're going to go hit the Panthers in the mouth early and hit them hard and finish tackles. I want to see effort and heart that is going to be a huge key. Show us how much you want it. That's what everyone is questioning right now is, do these Jags even want to go to the playoffs? There's such little heart. And it's so weird to think about from last year when all they had was heart. They had a bad record and they just kept believing. They had the heart that this was a good team and they went out and played every game like a playoff game. It is now time that you have to do it. We've been wanting it and we've been wanting it. Go show us now against the Panthers. That is a huge key, is effort and heart.
It was always the Jags. That's what I miss. I miss the belief that it was always the Jags.
My keys for offense in the game is going to be running the ball, establishing a run attack. I think the Wildcat had worked the few times that we've used it. It allows the offensive line a little bit quicker and makes Travis Etienne more space to move and find a hole. Even if there's just a little sliver, the Wildcat seems to work quite a bit. So I think we should try to get a run attack going, whether it's Wildcat or however Press needs to scheme it up. You just got to get Travis Etienne moving and getting a run game going. And then for defense, yes, it's turnovers. That's when our defense was the best. That's when we were winning games. Get turnovers. I don't care how many yards you give up, but as long as you have 3 turnovers, it doesn't matter. We win.
I love it. I'm going to probably flip that. It's turnovers, but on the offensive side, I want 0 turnovers. I think we would probably win even turning over the ball twice. But for me, the key offensive stat, even outside of turnovers, is rushing attempts for ETN. I want to see 20 to 25 rushing attempts for him, because that probably means one of 2 things is happening. One, we're either in the lead, or it means that we're not turning over the ball in Trevor's hands. And as much as we like Trevor, he's certainly in his own head right now. And we do not want him fumbling the ball or throwing another interception. Take some of the pressure off of him by running the ball at least 20 times to ETN. Defensively, last week, we gave up more than 50% on 3rd down conversions. The Buccaneers were 10 of 19, as well as picked up another 4th down conversion. So 11 times where they faced 3rd down that they were able to convert. I want the 3rd down conversion. I want them 5. I want to give them 5 times where they're in 3rd down that they end up picking it up. I have a feeling they will be in 3rd down a lot because they cannot run the ball and they can't throw the ball consistently enough. So if we're able to stop them on 3rd down, I don't really see a scenario where the Panthers are able to win in Jacksonville.
Okay, here we go. It is predictions time. So the Jaguars are home, the final home game of the regular season, going up against the league worst Carolina Panthers. And so currently for the Jag Bros, Joey and I are tied at 9-6 in predictions. JT is a game back. We've picked a lot of Jaguars wins, a few Jaguars losses. And hey, we always love to engage with you on your predictions. So on Twitter or Facebook or wherever at the Jag Bros, make sure you drop your predictions. But Joey, get us started. What is going to be the final score on Sunday, New Year's Eve?
I got a Jags victory, 24-20. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game. I think there's still going to be mistakes out there, but we do finally find a way to get back in the W column, and we're able to just put the slump out of our heads with a nice W over the Panthers.
Well, I have a very similar score, Joey. Both teams in the 20-point range. And I said this at the beginning. I think this could be very much a game of a battle of who wants to lose this game more. Both teams making a ton of mistakes. JT and his wife, Jackie, got me this awesome Christmas Jacksonville Jaguars teal sweatshirt. And it's for the NFL Combine. And there may be moments in the second half where, as Jaguars fans, we're thinking, okay, it's time to think about the Combine in a couple months. It's time to think about the NFL Draft. But I've got Brandon McManus hitting a 35-yard field goal just ever so barely. It's an ugly duck, but we get a 1-point victory. Give me the Jaguars 24, Panthers 23.
Oh, man. McManus. building off of something. Finally, that would be amazing if that happens. But here's one thing I will say. Both you guys are giving our offense way too much credit. I don't know where these 24 points are coming from. We can barely score 10 at home most games we're playing. And so with that, I said last week, Jack, did I say that we had hit rock bottom yet?
You did not say that.
You want to know why? It's because we're going to hit rock bottom next week when we record, when the Panthers have won the game 13-9 in Jacksonville, an extremely ugly game. And you think, wow, McManus hit 3 field goals? No, McManus missed an extra point. Oh, man. And the Jaguars are going to need a lot of help to even make the playoffs.
That would break every Jaguars fan's heart right there. That would be a heartbreaker on so many levels.
There's no way if we go out and lose to the Panthers that this team goes and beats the Titans. They just won't be able to get back up from that type of humiliation. So if we lose, then there's no way that we go to the playoffs, I think. I know people are like, well, maybe we can get the wild card if we beat the Titans. If you can't beat the Panthers, you're not beating the Titans. Let's just be honest.
The referee would be calling off the match because the beating would have been taken so hard in the month of December for Jacksonville.
All right, well, we'll see here in a couple of days what the Jaguars do. Can they bounce back in any sort of capacity? We want to let you know about several other AFC games as Jaguars fans you're going to be wanting to watch, because the Jaguars are, even though they've gone on a 4-game losing streak, they're right in the middle of their division. They're right in the heart of the wild card fight. So the first 2 games you're going to want to watch is at 1 p.m. Eastern. The Titans are going up against the Texans in Houston. There's a real possibility CJ Stroud will be back. So the Texans are 5-point favorites. And then you also have the Raiders in Indy at 1 p.m. And hey, here's the crazy thing. If the Colts and Texans lose and the Jaguars win on Sunday, they will have secured and won the AFC South.
Which that'd be great because then you could actually give everybody a rest against Tennessee. But you know what? Good things don't happen to Jacksonville this season.
And then the other 3 games to watch in terms of the wild card will all be at 4:05 Eastern. That's the Steelers versus Seahawks, Bengals versus Chiefs, Chargers versus Broncos. So a lot of great football. And again, we're coming right down to the end of the season.
The Raiders, the Broncos, and the Bengals, and the Chiefs, and the Steelers, those are the teams that you really need to be watching if Jacksonville is going to secure the 7th pick.
Instead of figuring out how we can get there on a wild card, let's just go win our last 2 games. We're in it. We control our own destiny. Just win and you're in. I don't want to really think about, well, if we lose, then we can get there. And just win.
That'd be great. We just haven't done that in a long time.
What's winning like?
Exactly. Well, if we can't win, then we don't deserve to go.
That's kind of the way football works.
I just feel like the people who are like, well, let's watch these games and maybe we can get in. Well, if you're going that far, might as well go ahead and start thinking about the draft. I'm only thinking about winning the games. Let's win and beat the Panthers. They've won 2 games. There's no reason that we should lose. If you have any sort of self-respect for yourself as a Jags fan, player, you will not lose this game.
Don't tempt me with some draft talk. I remember
2 weeks ago, guess how much the tickets went for a Panthers game?
It was like 30 cents, right?
It was 45 cents. If you let a team with their tickets for 45 cents beat you, then the season is over.
Yeah, I think the Panthers tickets seemingly ended inflation with that game.
You're right. I haven't had anything that cheap. I mean, gum costs more than a ticket to the Panthers.
Hey, you could either buy a stick of gum or you can buy 4 tickets to the Carolina Panthers game.
That's so crazy. If you let this team come into your own home and beat you, Jaguars, I want you to take off your uniform and throw it away because that's how much you care about the Jaguars. I need all of our fans to go out and cheer us on and give this team the motivation it needs. It needs heart. It needs to know that we still care about them because, yes, they've made mistakes, but I still believe, I still think we can go and win these last 2 games. So let's hear it for Jacksonville. Let's hear it for the Jaguars, and let's hear it for
It was always the Jag.